Hey everybody, as we are counting down the last few seconds here on the clock, just wanted to test the audio real quick, make sure everything looked okay. And when the clock runs out, we will get started with what's on my crafting table for this Sunday evening. Hi there. Yeah, if you were wondering what in the world's going on, all I can do is hear her. I can't see her. No, it wasn't anything wrong with your feed. I was just checking to make sure that the audio worked. I actually did not really check that before I got started, so jumped on there real quick before my time ran out just to make sure, just in case I had to make any last minute technical adjustments. Well, good Sunday to you. I hope you've had a good week and a good weekend. I'm Sandy with Quilted Treasures and More, and this is the Sunday evening live of what's on my crafting table. Looking back this week, I did a paint party Friday night. So last week was a lot of prep getting ready for that party. Also, I'm working on some new things for coming up in August. So I know you're thinking, gosh, that's months ahead, but do y'all realize we're almost to June? I was looking at the calendar a while ago and I'm like, oh my goodness, we can't be already in June. It just, I don't know. Some days it seems like the months are flying by, and other days it seems like, will this week ever end? So, hey, at least 2021 is not identical to 2020, right? Amen. All right, so this week on the crafting table, you may remember this. I've shown this in multiple pictures. This is the farmhouse rustic letter or rustic stripes on a letter that I did as part of a technique class here. I don't know, it's been a couple of months, a few months now, possibly. So, um, I actually have someone who wants some letters done in this style. So I thought from time to time I'll actually do some of the orders on my live for Sunday evenings. Most of the time they're projects that I'm working on, either for examples or upcoming paint parties. And so, to mix it up a little bit, sometimes I'll throw in an actual order on the Sunday evening what's on my crafting table. So that's the case tonight. So we're going to be doing a letter, and actually, I've got several here, and I think I am going to actually do the M. So I've got an R, and I've got an A, and I have an M. So I think I'm going to go with the M for tonight, since I've got an M that I can look at for example. Speaking of which, I might want to put this where I can actually see it. So I am probably going to set it over here. That way I can glance over at it from time to time. Yes, I have my handy dandy egg carton. Never very far away. All right, so the rustic farmhouse stripe is what I'm going to be working on tonight. I did not do this in a base coat, but I am going to take a Sharpie marker real quick, and I am just going to run over these lines very quickly, so that way I'll have a little bit bolder separation point when I get started on these colors. Now, my Sharpie is not, my Sharpie's been working hard lately. So it's not got much life left in it. But that's okay. It's going to get us through this and help me separate out my stripes here. So I'm just going over the stripes real quick, and that way as I'm working with the paint, make sure I don't hang on a second. I'm not usually that picky on the line, but something just is not quite adding up on this one. So let's see what we can do here. All right, better, much more better. And now I can't get my, we'll just set him off to the side. When those moments occur, when something just refuses to cooperate, you can just set it off to the side. All right, so just going to trace over this last line here. And again, these are not my finished lines. These are just simply so that when I start adding paint to it, then I kind of keep an idea of where those finished division lines are going to be. All right, well, I'm going to do a quick check over on Facebook, make sure everything's looking good. Looks like everything's moving smoothly. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Don't forget, Mailbox Delight. Speaking of June coming up here very quickly, that also means that I will be doing a drawing for the May Mailbox Delight winner. So all you have to do is sprinkle the love or spread the love, whichever the case, whichever way you want to word that one, and then comment sprinkled. And what I will do is put your name in a hat, and actually it's a spinny wheel that I found on, it looks like a game wheel, but it's really neat looking. Put everybody's names in on not a Facebook page, it's a website. Spin the wheel around, and it chooses a winner for me. So make sure you share and spread the love for the video to your family and friends, and then comment sprinkled. And once you sprinkle the love, then I will add your name to the giveaway. All right, we're going to jump in here with some blue. We're going to start out, and we're just going to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll repeat 3 colors, I think, and that works. Sometimes we don't repeat that many colors. Gosh, y'all. I can't get my paint bottle open. Okay, there we go. Like, man, I did eat lunch today and I took my vitamins. Not real sure what that was. All right, so this is just called True Blue, and I'm just going to start with this one over here on the left, and just going to start working my way down. I'm going to turn my brush sideways, that way I'm not just running right off the edge. And don't forget, if you're watching, just to shout out hello. And if you're not in the Mobile area, you can post where you're watching from or where you live. I know we have some folks that follow the page that are from Mississippi. And we have some folks from the Eastern Shore. I think I even have a couple in Florida. All right, so there's our first line of blue. Now I've got all my colors laid out. So I've got blue, and I've got green and white and red and yellow. And so I'm going to start back with blue here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one while I've got the brush in the blue. Now you can do the edge 2 ways. You can run it right up to that line, just like I'm doing with the brush kind of turned on its side, and just using that flat edge to help you get right up next to that line. Or you can run it down just flat. And what I like to do is wipe off that first initial. So you can do it this way or the other way. Now the only problem for me with this way is right now I can't see that line. because of the way I'm sitting. Now, because it gets skinny here with the letter M, I'm just going to turn that brush sideways and get the rest of that letter that way. I got just a little bit down. Didn't really want to go on the side there. That's okay. We're going to do the edges black. Now, this is not a laser cut letter, and so the edges are not already black from the cutting process, but I am going to paint them black. All right, so we'll finish up the blue. Not too worried about getting it over the line there. I do have green going next to it, so it should cover that up nicely. All right, so just a quick check. I think I'm going to go ahead and go over this one more time. I like to go over things usually twice just to make sure it's got a good coat of paint on it and that the coat of paint is smooth. And again, this is just a true blue, a true blue. The blue is actually called true blue, and that's what I'm using for this first section. And with it being farmhouse stripes, I'm not a stickler about making sure that I stay right on that line. If I go over just a little bit, it's okay. This is farmhouse. It's kind of, and it's rustic. Farmhouse and rustic. It can be relaxed, not extremely precise. And the wood soaked this up pretty quick, so I was able to go ahead and start on the second coat on this little second section here. A lot of times I have to give it just a few minutes, but not tonight, not in this particular case. All right, so there is our blue. So I'm going to rinse this brush, and I'm just going to keep using this brush. Now, you may be thinking, Sandy, there was white on that, and you didn't start with white. No, I didn't. Y'all know me. Sometimes I just get, hey, let's get this party started. And I get to going and I don't think about, hey, I should have done my lighter color first. I was actually telling the ladies that at the paint party this past Friday night. Had a great paint party. Thank you to Miss Rhonda for opening up her home and hosting her coworkers. And they had a good time. I had a good time with them. They were a lot of fun. Had a great evening, had a lot of laughs, and I discovered I have multiple names. Undoubtedly, at some point, my name got changed to Deborah or Debbie. I can't remember which. So, but that's okay. I told them at the beginning. I said, if you can't remember my name, I usually answer to just about anything. Key on just about. Okay. Oh goodness, but it was a good time Friday night. I enjoyed so much being with them. All right, so we're going to, I'm debating. I may go back and do the white, or I may just follow it. I'm just going to follow it in order. If I have to get another brush, I'll get another brush. All right, so this one I am using a medium green, Hauser medium green. And I'm just going to, I've kind of lost my line a little bit here between the green and the blue, but that's okay. I know where my division is. So I'm just going to run my green up to that blue because I'll be adding that line back in here in a little bit as we get finished. So just working on getting our second stripe here in this medium green color. And you don't have to use these colors exactly when you're doing the rustic stripes. I actually did a rocking horse in some pastel colors in the rustic stripe. So I had a lot of fun doing that. I have a lot of fun doing a lot of door hangers. I know y'all probably see me post that. I have a lot of fun doing this one, and I do. I have a lot of fun doing quite a few of them. There are some of these that are just they're um they're just fun to paint. It's fun to watch them come to life, so to speak. As you're painting them and adding the different colors and shading, and it's just uh, it's just really cool, you know, to watch it all come together and what it looks like once you've added all the final outlines and highlights and different things. Whether I'm doing online paint parties or in-person paint parties, I'll tell folks as we're getting started, if it doesn't look quite like you thought it would, keep in mind you've only got one color on there or two colors on there. And as you add more and more to it, that's when you start to see it take shape. Sometimes even in some of the ones that I'm doing, even if I'm just following along, even on a course or learning a new technique, and I'm thinking, oh, I just don't know about this. And then we get to the next step, and I look at it and I go, oh, cool. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, this really doesn't look like the one that you showed at the beginning. No, no, it doesn't. There are some layers that we're going to be doing to this one. So first we've got to start out with our solid colors. And then once we add our solid colors, then we will start doing a little technique that's going to give it that, oh man, there was a small, there it is. It's just paint that had collected right around the edge. So it made kind of like a band. And when I squeezed the paint out, it fell into my paint color. I'm like, no, no, no. You don't belong in there. All right, so there is our green. Now I'm actually going to be using all these colors again, so I'm not extremely worried about having extra. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I put too much in there or I have extra. I'm not worried about that right now. All right. I am going to grab another brush here because I'm going to my white, y'all. And I don't want a chance. I don't want a chance it turning out kind of greenish, which with the rustic, that would be okay. Because like I said, we're going to be doing something here in a few minutes that that will actually be adding layers of color to it. And so it would be okay if it wasn't perfectly white, because it will not be perfectly white once we get through with it. I just painted my Lazy Susan. I have painted that Lazy Susan underneath so many times. My Lazy Susan comes in really handy when I'm doing these projects, not recorded or in the process of doing a live, because I spin the project around and work on it from different angles, which to me just makes the process go faster. But when I'm working on my live, or if I'm doing an instructional video, a tutorial video, I like to keep it upright. That way it's easier to see. All right, my last one over here is going to be white as well. So we're repeating 3 colors, and then 2 of the colors will not be repeated. And I could have picked 2 more colors and made it all the same, or not all the same. Oh goodness, all different. I don't know, the rustic stripe, I think having the repetitive colors for 2 or 3 just gives it that character that it needs. All right, so I always make myself notes to remember to tell y'all about things that are going on. Oh, the e-newsletter. I didn't even have to look at my notes for that one. On Sunday evenings, when I am finished with our live, I send out a weekly e-newsletter. Comes right to your inbox. And in that weekly e-newsletter, it has information about what's been going on, about what I'm working on, also details about things coming up. Tonight's e-newsletter will actually have the details about the June paint party that Quilted Treasures will be hosting, that I will be hosting. And so all the details are actually in the e-newsletter coming out tonight. So if you want to get all those details, if you are not on our list, our e-newsletter list, you can comment, add me to this video, and I will add you before the e-newsletter goes out tonight. So that way you'll get all the info about the paint party coming up in June. And if you're curious about paint parties, whether they're online or in person, some people still are not quite sure about, in person. And that's okay. That's why we do virtual or online paint parties as well. I've hosted several for Quilted Treasures, or Quilted Treasures has hosted several. And they're a lot of fun too. You just, you can either do them within Facebook or you can do them on Zoom. Everybody hangs out in their comfy clothes or their pajamas, has their favorite beverage in hand. The last one I did, I think it was cool enough we actually had hot chocolate and coffee and hot tea, so I don't think we'll be, worried about hot chocolate and, well, if you drink coffee all day, or any time of the day, then, coffee will work. Personally, I would either have a Diet Coke or a glass of sweet tea, so once it gets cold weather, I do a cup of coffee in the morning, but once the morning has passed and it starts warming up, to me it's time to bring on the iced beverages. And I know some of y'all are like, "Yeah, but there's iced coffee." Yeah, I don't know. I've tried the iced coffee a few times. It's just not one of those things that I'm like, I guess really digging to to grab an older phrase. All right, our next color is red, but I'm gonna save red till last. I'm gonna go ahead and do our yellow. All right, so yellow is going to be right here. Red is going to come before yellow on the letter, but yellow is going to be here. So again, Mailbox Delight. If you want to be in on that drawing, sprinkle the love, comment sprinkled. And I will put your name on the giveaway wheel for the drawing at the end of the month, which is right around the corner. And also, if you'd like to be on our e-newsletter list and get our weekly e-newsletter, comment add me and add your email address. Sorry. I always say comment add me, and then I have to go back and private message folks and go, I forgot to mention put your email address. If you don't want to put your email address in the comments, you can private message me your email. All right, I'm on hold off just for a second on the yellow. Let it dry just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab my red. Let me get this dried off the edge, because if I don't, then I'll end up with it in the paint like I did a while ago. And I still ended up with some falling in there. All right, I'm going to get the red brush again that I had earlier for my other color, darker colors. I'm going to use it for the red. And we're just going to add our red. It'll be our last. Our last color here on our letter. And I did cross over a little, but I'm not worried about it because I do have to do some lines in between my colors. And so I think that's going to hide that. Now, if I had done kind of a major crossover, then I could always grab a baby wipe and take care of that, or paint over it again. Either way. All right, so just getting another coat on the red stripe here. And I'm going to go back, get my yellow and my yellow brush, and put one more coat of yellow until I stick it in the red, and then drag my red paint all down my yellow paint. All right. All right, there we go with our solid colors. We've got blue, green, and that's a medium green, and then white, red, yellow, and then we started over with our blue, our green, and our white. So I'm going to do just a couple of quick touch-ups. I'm going to take my blue, I got a little bit left, and I'm just going to go back and get it right up next to this line because I did get over just a little too far with my green. So I'm going to straighten that up just a little bit. And then over here, I crossed a little too far with my white. And so I'm going to get just a little bit of green and straighten up my line here. And because I got a little too excited, or too, not excited, too far to the left, right, the other left, sorry. Just going to grab a baby wipe and just straighten that up. So I went too far with the white. So I got my green to straighten that up, and then went too far with the green. That's okay. Between baby wipes and a little extra paint, we can always get that fixed. All right, so I'm going to touch up my green just a little bit. Just right there where I touched it with the baby wipe. And then this other brush that I used for yellow, or white and yellow, I'm going to rinse it out, get the yellow out of it, and take just a little bit of white and fix where I peeled my paint with the baby wipe. All right, so now we are basically ready to start with our layers. And what we're going to do, I've got a little brush here that they call a chip brush. You can see it's just nothing really fancy. The bristles are kind of stiff. And they're kind of spread apart. So they're not as tight as you would find in some of the other brushes that I use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my blue, and I'm just going to dab a little bit in my blue, and then dab off to the side a little because I don't want it to be thick, thick. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start lightly streaking down the next color. Not blue because, well, you wouldn't see the streaks of blue on top of the blue. Now, I'm not going to do this heavy because I'm going to be using all the colors. But I do want some of the blue to show up there. Next, I'll go to the white. And again, I'm just dabbing in the blue, and then I'm kind of dabbing off on the side. So that way it gives it almost a dry brush effect. And I do have it turned sideways, in case you're wondering. I did have it like this, but this brush, for some reason, when you're trying to do this effect, works better if you have it sideways. So I'm just adding some blue to each one of the colors that's not blue. And we're just going to do this with all of our colors. Now, I'm not worried about getting those spread out even. If one part has a little bit darker blue than the other, that's okay, because this is going to be rustic. So now you may be thinking, oh, Sandy, look what happened. It's dark. It's really dark there. It's okay. I can always push that off a little more and come back over it and pull it down. Or I could take a little bit of my green once I'm finished. If it still stands out too much, I can take a little bit of my green and just kind of brush over it and help smooth it out or blend it in a little better. All right, so there's my blue stripe. Not really stripes, but my blue streaks, I guess is a good word for them. All right, so I'm not rinsing this brush, okay? I'm not going to rinse this brush. Next, I'm going to go to the green, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to dab it in the green, and then I'm going to dab it on the side so that I don't keep a whole lot of paint in my brush. Because you're not painting, you're just wanting to streak the color down the other colors. And that's another reason, too, why you're not really concerned about getting major coverage, because you've got all these colors to go over each one of these stripes. It's funny because I just added blue, and then when you throw the green on there, yellow and blue make green. So now it looks like you've got two greens on the yellow. The blue made it look like green, and now you're adding green. So you got a lot of green on that yellow there. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go back to where I wiped off. And I'll just dab on that part to try to pick up some of the green that's left on the side. And then that way I don't have to do a whole lot of dabbing off of that color. All right, next, let's see. I'm going to go to the white. And again, just kind of dabbing in on the side and then just kind of dabbing off excess. And just kind of streaking down my stripes. And again, the harder you push down when you streak, the more paint you're going to see on your stripe. And your colors are going to kind of blend together at points, and that's okay. Keep in mind, this is rustic. All right, and we don't need white on white. All right, so we're going to move to yellow. Again, just dab a little bit, get a little bit of color on there. No, I'm not rinsing in between these. I am just simply going from one color to the next. And this time with the yellow, I'm just kind of hitting some of the places that didn't get a lot of the white or the other colors. So some may have more yellow or more white, or you may see more green in some of them. Just depends on when you're looking at it, how you want it to look. All right, now for our red. And again, I'm just dabbing off the excess, and I'm just going to throw some of it in there. And it actually comes out a little bit of a pink at times because of all the colors that have been shared on the brush, but that's okay. This is not one of those where we're going for a set look or perfection. We are making it rustic. Things like this I think are pretty cool because it's like whatever you do, you almost feel like, oh, well, I can't mess it up. Because you're just dry brushing things and going over colors, and it's kind of what I call messy painting. All right, so we can end it off with just a little bit of black, and I'm basically going to rub all the black out of that brush. And when I go through, I'm just going to lightly streak down. I'm not going to press down very hard because I don't want there to be any bold black. I just want there to be a hint of black. And you can actually come around the edges and just kind of do this motion where you're just almost flicking off the edge or up onto the edge, and it gives it sort of a feathery look around the edges, which is pretty cool. I like the feathery look. I've actually done that on some canvas paintings. So I like to do that around the edges. And then I in turn make the edges black, the sides of my letter. I don't come up too hard because I don't want there to be bold streaks of black around my letter. Just a little bit to give it a little bit of a definition or outline around the edge. I like that about the rustic look. And it doesn't all have to be the same. Some places the black is bolder. Some places the line, the little feather look is longer strokes. And some places it's shorter strokes. I jumped to the edge. I got to remember to go back and hit my other colors that I did not do here in a few minutes. You know, it's one of those things you start doing one thing and you haven't, oh yeah, this is also what we want to do. And so you end up getting sidetracked. Showing one thing and then have to go back and finish the other. Now at this point, I don't have a whole lot of black in my brush, so I am actually using harder strokes or a little more pressure on my brush to get those streaks in there. And again, if you feel like at any point that you're looking at this going, man, that looks a little harsh, all you need to do, I'm going to grab this brush because I had white on this brush. Now, if I thought this green, yellow and green combination here was just a little too much, I can take my brush, dip it in my white, pat off just a little bit on the side because I don't want to just paint over it. All I want to do is just take a light touch and just go over it a few streaks and it softens it up. So if you're looking at it and you're thinking, man, these colors on the white, they're just too bold. I just don't like them. Get a little paint of whatever color you want. Not whatever color, the main color that you're trying to bring back. In this particular case, my main color was white. And so I got my brush, put some white on it, dabbed a lot of it off because, like I said, I don't want to paint over it. I just want to soften it. So dab all a good bit of it off and then just lightly go back over and soften that up. All right, so there's our rustic stripes. Now, what I want to do next, I'm going to save the edges and I'll do them after we finished up. What I want to do next is I want to create my lines between my stripes, okay? So I'm going to get a round brush. You could use a paint pen for this if you like, but I'm going to get a round brush because I don't really want these lines to be precise. Again, it's rustic, it's farmhouse. And so what I am going to do is move that, my lazy Susan there off to the side. So that way I can anchor my hand and attempt to keep these lines a little straight. Again, it's farmhouse, it's rustic, so I'm not worried about having a precise line. But what I do want to do is keep it, you know, fairly within what I had planned for a division between my two colors. Now I am actually pulling my entire arm down the table. And so I am moving my body backwards. Now, not everybody likes to try this maneuver. I actually have gone where I move my hand and my body upwards to create the stripe before as well. Now, one thing that I just noticed that I did, I started on the right side, which means that if I did the next one, I'd be running my hand through my stripe. So I'm going to move this off my table for a moment, and I'm going to turn this just a little bit. And hopefully by the time I get down to the other side, it's dry enough that I won't smear the black all over the rest of my color. Now again, with this being the rustic, I'm not worried about having exactly straight lines, and I'm not worried about having exactly the same width line as I make my way down the M, or in this case now I'm going back up. I will go back over that just a little bit though, because it did look a little thin. It's hard for me to see that line with my lights. My lights have got it where I can't see that line real well. I will double check it though. A lot of times people will do straight up and down on their round brush, and it does help to control a little better. I have a tendency to let mine lean, which is probably why mine still end up rather wobbly at times, because I don't have my brush straight up and down. It'll either lean to the side or it leans back, and that does create a little bit of a wobbly look. Now when I'm going back up, 9 times out of 10, I'll end up leaning my brush. Straight lines are something that I am still working on, even with learning some of the tips and tricks for getting the straight lines, such as the round brush straight up, and holding your arm, your hand and your wrist straight, and moving your arm and your body as opposed to trying to move your wrist, which will in turn create a wobbly line. I still do not get my lines perfect. But for something like this, a perfect line is not a necessity. Matter of fact, it doesn't have to even be the same shade all the way down, because, all right, y'all, here's the moment of truth. It doesn't have to be the same width all the way down, or the same, oh, y'all, what's the word I'm looking for? The paint doesn't have to be the same thickness. That's the word I'm looking for, all the way down, because we are doing rustic stripe. And so, it's rustic. It's not dead set on perfect lines, and it's not dead set on a certain width. So you can be a little the project itself is forgiving, but you can also be forgiving of yourself. All right, so here's our letter M. We are all finished up, and this is the farmhouse rustic stripe technique is what this is. And so I'm going to go once I get off of the live here. I'm going to finish up the edges. I'll do them black, and then I'll get it seal coated. Thank y'all so much for joining me this evening. I hope y'all have a great week. Remember Mailbox Delight. We're coming up on the end of the month. And so if you sprinkle the love for the video, then just comment sprinkled, and I will make sure your name goes in the drawing for Mailbox Delight for the month of May. Also, don't forget, e-newsletter goes out tonight after 8 o'clock. And so if you'd like to be put on our e-newsletter list, simply comment add me, and then you can either add your email there or message me your email address. Coming up in June, just a couple of quick things to let you know about. I mentioned the paint party hosted by Quilted Treasures and More. That's in June, but also the next Door Dazzle box will be coming out in the month of June. So, oh, one quick thing though. Next weekend, holiday weekend, so pre-Happy Memorial Day, everybody. There will not be a live next weekend. So enjoy time with your family. I'm going to enjoy time with mine. And may do some late spring pre-summer cleaning next weekend. Try to get some things straightened up, especially around the old crafting table here. Yeah, probably need to do some work on straightening things up here. So hopefully we'll get that accomplished. Y'all have a great week. Have a great evening. Thanks so much for being here with me.